And move directly to the item 29, to which the deputation relates. I'd like to move to item 31, which is the Chief Executive's report, because we have actually used the Chief Executive's report, and I'll hand over to Carleen to explain it, but to pick up on a staff submission that was made to ECAN on the draft Waimakariri Zone Implementation Plan Addendum, and there's a provision in there that we wish, on reflection, to withdraw from the submission, and we have to do this early in the meeting because ECAN are meeting to consider this very issue, and their meeting starts at 11 a.m. So I don't want to leave this any further. So if I just hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'll just take my report as read, but these additional resolutions, as the Mayor has said, is based on a submission to the Waimakariri Zone Implementation Plan, and the original submission was based on the drinking water standards currently, as the recommended nitrate levels was less than 50% of the maximum acceptable value, and so it was supported from a public health perspective at a level of 3.8 micrograms per litre. However, we're aware that, of course, the drinking water standards are going to be reviewed by government, so that may change in the future. But we're also aware that this may impact on a potential impact on our Christchurch aquifers and our future use. And so we're unaware really what that use of that water might be put to in future years. So that a limit of 3.8 micrograms per litre may well limit our future use as well. So we want to be clear about that. And even though it's below half the maximum acceptable value, it's considered, we've considered that it's not appropriate to put another value in there because we actually just don't know what the use will be or what the impact will be on our aquifers. So we'd like to withdraw that comment and that paragraph in that submission. We will get another opportunity in mid-2019 to submit on the issue, and that gives us an opportunity to provide a much more detailed submission around nitrate levels in our aquifers beneath Christchurch. So I'd like to also confirm that we spend some time doing that and getting the research and information correct around that.
Yeah, and I think we've also added to the submission in our advice to Environment Canterbury this morning that the Council remains totally committed to the long-term security of the city's drinking water supply, and agree that the Council will make a submission to any proposed change to the Canterbury Land and Water Management Plan outlining the Council's support for measures to reduce the likelihood of nitrates entering the aquifers that supply Christchurch with its water. So we're crystal clear that it's the protection of our aquifers that drives us in this purpose. So I'll open up Carleen's report for questions, and then I'll open up the resolution for debate. So are there any questions on the balance of the report? No? Would someone like to move the resolution? Vicky? Yep. Seconded Tim. Is there any debate? Right, Sarah.
Thank you. With climate change not only knocking on our door but opening it and stepping in, one of the best gifts that we're able to give coming generations this Christmas is the gift of water, pure and healthy for future generations to come. And while water is such a taonga for us, and we need to stand up for the quality of our water, the other big issue that I have with water bottling is the plastic. 1 billion litres of water every year bottled and sent overseas is 1 billion plastic bottles sent overseas or consumed locally. And we know that only 1 in 10 plastic bottles is ever recycled. And with the recycling crisis, that is another additional crisis that we are leaving for generations to come. So I'm really pleased that we're making such a strong stand on this.
Phil?
I'm certainly really happy to support these recommendations. I'm in a way that the water bottling issue has certainly highlighted the seriousness too of the nitrates issue in our aquifers. There's no question of that. And yeah, we might need some more science on it, but however, a limit of 3.8 micrograms per litre of nitrates is quite worrying, especially when you consider that in fact once the level gets to 11 parts per million, in fact then we're in a situation which actually leads to the blue babies syndrome. And that's worrying for all of us. So I think it's really timely that we started to really work at this. This is a long-term project in many ways. We know that, for example, the nitrates issue comes from farming practices that have happened for a long, long time, especially by the use of superphosphates and unnatural chemicals. So it's time that those issues too were really drilled down on, and as well as tackling the consequences of the water bottling.
Yep. Vicky and you've moved it, haven't you? So we'll come back to you. Pauline, well, you can close the debate. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Just very briefly, look, yes, I very much support this, and I think it was an oversight in the first instance that we even put that in there. We were quite gobsmacked actually when we saw that. We would like to put 0, of course, but I know there are some very small minor amounts of nitrates that occur naturally, but to have pollutants entering our aquifers is unacceptable. And look, I think it's a little bit of a big yellow taxi again. You know, you don't know what you got till it's gone, and what we have is an incredible taonga underneath this city. We need to do everything we can to protect that, every single thing we can do. And I think a lot of the issues are historical. We've got issue of transferring consents and buying and selling takes and things like that, and old regulations that need to be dusted off and refreshed for this day and age when we have issues of population growth, climate change, and other people eyeing up what they would like to make big profits out of. So I very much support this today. Thank you.
Thank you. Vicky?
Just so we're aware of the background to this is in the Waimakariri area, and what we now know is that the nitrates from land use in the Waimak district come under the Waimakariri River and into our water. So what we're dealing with here, and I'm very pleased that we've altered this, is the process by which nitrates come down that far is quite a long, slow process. So I suspect we're actually dealing with pre-industrial levels of farming. So we're dealing with a situation that was actually much better than it currently is. My fear is that this is going to get a great deal worse, and so that's why we have to do everything we possibly can to ensure that this does not impact the city's drinking water. In our submission, we noted also that the development of the economic modelling that was done was undertaken that assessed the reduction of nitrate losses on the agricultural sector, mostly it's dairy farming, and did the economic modelling for that, but omitted to actually look at the cost to the city, to the whole city, of any groundwater contamination from the nitrates. So the idea that they would consider approving a very slow reduction in nitrate loss reductions here is just not acceptable. They absolutely have to act quickly and change the land use that is affecting and going to affect more Christchurch's drinking water. So I'm very pleased that we're making this available to ECAN before their meeting starts at 11 o'clock this morning.
Good. I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. And I've asked the Secretariat to note that Councillor Kewen was another lateness, apology for lateness. So I apologise for forgetting about the apology.